All right, we are live. It's Friday night and we are live. Come on in the room, y'all. Come on in. We're going to have a good time tonight. The bishop is here. We're going to sit at the bishop's feet tonight and we're going to have a fun time, ladies. Come on in. Brothers, you're welcome to join us as well. Listen, y'all, as you're coming in, start a watch party. Tag somebody, let them know that Dr. Toni and Bishop McKenzie are live tonight. We're gonna have a really, really fun time. So thank y'all for joining in. Start your watch parties. Text somebody and tell them to get in the room with Dr. Toni Alvarado and Bishop Vashti McKenzie. All right. Well, welcome to Harmonize Your Life, Conversations on Self-Care for Women of Color podcast. But tonight is a little different because we're doing what I'm calling the podcast talk back. And we have with us tonight none other than the renowned, anointed, fabulous, sell amazing Bishop Vashti McKenzie. I'm so glad to have Bishop McKenzie with us here tonight. Y'all know Bishop McKenzie, but if anybody is on my live stream that don't know her, I don't know what planet you're on and where you been. But Bishop Vashti Murphy McKenzie is an electrifying preacher and an anointed woman of God, serving at the highest level of episcopacy in the African Methodist Episcopal Church since the year 2000. Bishop McKenzie is a national voice for women. She's a servant leader and a social justice advocate. Her ministry, which has seen her supervise more than 600 churches around the world, is diverse, from sanctuaries and seminaries to corporate boardrooms and national and international seminars and conferences. I like to say Bishop McKenzie is just, she's just phenomenal. She is an amazing, so amazing, and she'll tell us a little bit about what that means in just a few minutes. She is just dynamic. I am so grateful to have her with us on tonight. Bishop, I'm so honored, as you already know, how much I love you and how much I appreciate your ministry. I'm so honored to know you personally, which actually came through my study of your work, your written work there while I was working on my THM thesis at Columbia Theological Seminary here in Atlanta. I was introduced to your work. I actually knew of you before then, but I got acquainted more with your work as I was working on my THM thesis, The Empowerment Tradition of African American Women Preachers from the 19th and 20th century. And it was during that time, reading your work, Not Without a Struggle, and Strength in the Struggle. And listen, if you are a woman in ministry and you do not have Bishop McKenzie in your library, you need to get her in your library. You need those books in your library. I was so impacted by Bishop McKenzie's writing and her story that, Bishop, I've actually used you as one of the paradigms for ministry and your story, and I've actually used you, your life and your story, as one of the paradigms for my ministry. And so I'm grateful to have you with us on tonight. And listen, if you are with us and you're live with us, this is a live broadcast. Let me make sure I got Bishop. I don't see my Bishop. Did we lose her? Did we lose Bishop? Bishop, we need you to come on back in the room. Come on, y'all. We're gonna see y'all. We're gonna work this out. We're gonna work this out. We're gonna find out where Bishop went. She was right there with us. We're live, so you know what it's like when you're live. So let's make sure that we get Bishop back in the room. My team is working to make sure we get Bishop back in the room. We're gonna make sure we get her back online. Y'all know technology can do that to you. She was right with us. I don't know what happened there, because we had worked this out early before we came on live. We got her in the room. So we just trying to make sure we know where she went. Bishop, where are you? Let's get her back in the room. Let's see here. So listen, I want you to continue to get the watch party started, y'all. We're going to work this out. Let's see here. We're going to work this out and get her back in the room. And so that we can continue this conversation on tonight. I know that Bishop McKenzie has some great things to share with us tonight. If you've been following my podcast, the Harmonize Your Life Conversations on Self-Care for Women of Color podcast, then you know that Bishop McKenzie has been one of our original guests to the podcast. Bishop McKenzie did one of the early episodes in our podcast, the Harmonize Your Life Conversations on Self-Care for Women of Color podcast. And listen, I encourage you to go and get that podcast. Go and get that episode so that you can listen to what Bishop had to say to us during that podcast series. And then you can get your questions answered. She just texted me and said something happened. She's trying to get back in. Bishop Alvarado, can you help her get back in the room? Let's see here, Bishop. I'm going to give you the phone and let you call the Bishop and get her back in the room, because we want to make sure we hear from Bishop McKenzie. Y'all know this ain't nothing but the devil, right? Because she was on and she just texted me and said something happened and it knocked her out. I don't know if it's something on her end in her city where she is there in Texas, but we're going to get the Bishop back in the room. And while we're waiting on Bishop, I just want you to know all the great things that are happening in the life of the Harmonize Your Life podcast. We got some great things happening there. We have begun our self-care network for women. And you can go to my website at drtonyalvarado.com and get the information for the website and for the Self-Care Network and join in with us there. You can follow my podcast. Every Monday, we have new episodes dropping with information, with inspiration, and things that you and I need to make sure that we are healthy, spirit, soul, and body. And that's what this is about. This conversation tonight with Bishop McKenzie is a talk back from the conversation that we had on the podcast. And one of the reasons we're doing a talk back is because we want you to be able to hear Bishop live. We want you to be able to interact with Bishop live, and we want you to be able to ask questions and be able to get wisdom as we sit at her feet. So why don't y'all just put up some things make some comments and let me know that you're there. Let me know that you're there. Let me know that you're there. Okay. We're getting her in the room. Y'all give us 2 minutes. She's on the line and we're getting her in the room. We got her. We got her. Hey, Bishop. Yay. We got you back in the room. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Y'all know technology can be, it can be your friend and it can be your enemy, right, Bishop?
Absolutely. I love technology. I tell people all the time, I love it until it doesn't work.
I always say in church, the person who has the worst job in the church is the sound man. As soon as we can't hear it or something go wrong, everybody look at the sound man, right? So it is something, this technology thing is something, this pandemic has pushed us to this arena where we're having to use technology more, right? And as we're doing it, of course, it comes with its challenges, right? We do it and then it does what it does. Good. We're here. So Bishop, I was sharing with the ladies while we were trying to get you back in the room. I was sharing how this came about, how the talk back came about, because you did a session for me early on when I started this podcast. I released the podcast on March 2nd, right?
Yes.
Little did I know when I had this vision to do this podcast last year, but way leads on the way. And then, you procrastinate and I didn't get it done. And so I came into 2020 set to do the podcast. And so we set the date to launch the podcast the first of March. So it launched actually on March 2nd. And little did we know when we launched the podcast that we would be in a pandemic, right? Who knew? All of us had such wonderful plans for 2020, right? we had it laid out. We had our 2020 vision, but none of us really saw this. Nobody saw this coming. And so here we are. We're 4 months into the pandemic. And when I started this podcast, I had no idea how much these conversations on self-care would be needed for where we are right now. And I always say God knows the end from the beginning. That's what scripture tells us, right? He knows the end from the beginning. And so I just know that this is a God time for this podcast and for these conversations that we are having on self-care. And as we have been in this pandemic, so many of us are struggling in that area with being at home, with being quarantined and social distancing and things of that nature. You shared early on in the podcast and you dropped some wisdom on us. You dropped some nuggets on us about your 4D method of self-care. And so the reason I wanted to come back to the conversation because your podcast your episode is still trending on my podcast. I mean, every day people are playing it and sharing it and liking it, and it's still trending. The numbers on it just keep going up. And I wanted to bring you back and I wanted to have a conversation. And this time I didn't want it to be just you and I wanted us to talk as a community with you, sit at your feet, hear these principles and I wanted you to rehearse those principles with us now that we're 4 months into the pandemic. And I wanted our audience, our podcast, viewing audience to be able to listen and to be able to make comments and ask questions of you tonight as it relates to this subject of self-care in general, and then your 4D method of self-care. And so, Bishop,
yeah,
it's on you. Go ahead.
Toni, as you were telling me about your journey to get to this moment, for me, I'm hearing how before 2020, God was preparing you and preparing the subject matter to uniquely position you so that when the pandemic hit, you were all ready to go. There always is such a thing as sometimes it's too early or sometimes it's too late or sometimes it's right on time. And sometimes we think, well, it's just not happening. It's just not happening. It may not be the right time. But God got your message on self-care prepared and in the right place so that when we need it the most, it was ready to go. So
wow.
you stretch vision. Glad you stretched out on your dream. I don't see any wasted time. I see it as preparation time for this moment, for this moment.
Thank you. Thank you. I
So,
appreciate that. Because sometimes we
amen.
do think that, we're behind time, or maybe we're ahead of time or whatever. And I want to say that God's been preparing me through my own journey. That's what this whole self-care thing is about for me. I've been on this journey 20 years now. I was thinking the other day, and I was reminded by the Holy Spirit of how long I've really been on this journey. And it was at the age of 37 that I really got serious about my health and wellness after being diagnosed with Graves' disease, and just being in a very stressful time in my life. And I really went on that journey, started this journey 20 years ago, and now I'm 57 and I'm still on the journey. And I was just telling somebody today that I was encouraging a sister today who was kind of lamenting where she was. And I said, you know what? Believe it or not, I still need encouragement, and we all need encouragement on this journey, because it's just life. And it's, some people look at me because I'm kind of a fanatic about working out, but I had to grow to that place. But even now, I still have to be encouraged to get up and do it and take care of myself. It doesn't just come. It's my flesh doesn't always want to do it. And so, but it's a journey, and I appreciate you being on this journey and being a trailblazer on this journey. That's one of the things when we talked on the podcast, when you talked about your 4D method, and I was saying to you, you've been a trailblazer, not only in ministry, but for me, I have patterned a lot of my life and ministry after women like yourself, who have gone before me and treaded out a path for ministry. I've looked at you as a wife, as a mother, a bishop in the Lord's church. You've been a local church pastor. You're a businesswoman. You're an entrepreneur. You're a writer. You're a speaker all over the country. All those wonderful things. But yet, what I love the most about you, Bishop, is that you're just a real girl. I love that about you. You're just a real girl, and I love that. And listen, y'all, get ready, because she's going to be real tonight. I want you to know she don't play. She's going to be real with us. So talk to us, Bishop, about your 4D method of self-care.
Thank you, Toni. And then thank you, Dr. Toni, for having me to be able to share tonight. And I can talk about this 4D method, and I got a surprise for you. I can talk about it because I had to live it. The way I work, I'm the kind of person that wakes up in the morning with 4,000 things to do, and I need an extra 24 hours, my 24 hours to do it. It's just that I'm an idea person, I'm a vision person. I say, "Ooh, what about this? Ooh, what about?" And I'm ready to go. And so I had to learn how to do this. Order.
It's okay. We're going to get.
Raised as strong Black women. We are raised to carry our, handle our children. We are raised to take care of your life. I tell you, I was a grown woman before I realized something. So to do and raised is a problem that we don't ask for help.
Okay.
We tackle some of these things all on our own. And as you said, yes, a journey. It is a journey, but it's a journey with fits and stops and parking lots along the way. And
wait a minute, because you I need you to stop and say that again.
Get out of your bed,
I need you to repeat that, Bishop. I need you to repeat some stuff there. Say that again.
We all. I said, you mean about we all have to be encouraged in increments, fits, and starts? Because you're breaking up a little bit, so I wasn't sure about that part.
Okay, say that again. Repeat what you. Okay, repeat what you said, that we're about our journey. There's stops and stays, and it was something else you said.
I said all of us are in a journey, but our journey is filled with stops and fits and parking lots, exits, on ramps. And so we like to think the things we do one and done. I have fixed it, it's done.
Okay.
I've organized this, it's done. I've reconciled this, it's done. I've exercised one day, it's done. No, baby. There's no such thing as one and done. We are processing every day. We redo, we redo, we redo. We grow and we do again. We grow and we do again. We grow and we do again. So what happens in our minds, we think, well, gee, I've been 2 miles today. That's all I need to do. I'm done. No, you have to do that again tomorrow. I went and got a spa, got my massage, I'm done. No, we're going to have to repeat the process. So I want to start by saying that there's a difference between self-absorption and self-care.
Okay.
There is a difference between self-absorption and self-care. A difference between self-esteem and self-care. Self-absorption is when I'm obsessed with myself.
Okay.
Now, we are to love God with all of our mind, soul, and strength, and love our neighbor as ourselves. To be so absorbed in who we are, No, I don't believe that's what God has called us to. Self-care is like putting on your oxygen mask first so you can turn around and help somebody else. It is hard to serve the Lord when you down, your mind, emotions, and everything is. You're going to have to keep yourself together so that you can present your best self. It's hard to show up for Jesus if you're not showing up for yourself.
Okay, it's hard to show up for Jesus if you're not showing up for yourself.
And working ourselves, but self-care says that I'm taking care of the body temple. My body is a temple of the Holy Spirit, and I'm going to take care of this body. It's the only one I got. A temple, the Holy Spirit resides within. So all of us have coping mechanisms. All of us have coping mechanisms. And I would really say that most of us, those who are listening to this broadcast, you and I, we have tried all of our mechanisms during this pandemic. We have tried our comfort food. We have binged on Netflix. We have watched everything we wanted to watch. We have picked up a book we promised ourselves we're going to read. We have cleaned the closet. We have straightened out the attic. We have thrown out everything that needed to be thrown out. We've even cleaned the junk drawer. Come on. Confession right now. Confession is good for the soul. We have done everything that we usually do to be able to survive and thrive in this pandemic. And what we find is not working, and we keep looking. And that's going to be the surprise at the end. So the 4D method is simply, there are 4 Ds in it. The first one is do. You got to do.
Right.
You got to do, you got to do what you got to do. But doing means you prioritize the things in your life until you really see this is what I and only I must do. It is significant, it is valued, and it's important. Now, this lesson I learned from Dr. Ella Mitchell, who is like the dean of women in ministry. She has gone home to sit with the elders and peeking over the and wondering if we're going to get our lives together. And I went to her at a critical point in ministry.
She can't see.
I was in seminary. I was working. I was pastoring. Got children. Got a husband. Got a house. Got all this going on. And I asked her. I said, "How did you do all this stuff when you were coming through? How did you do all this stuff?" So she simply said, "You have to prioritize." She said, "Put balance out of your vocabulary. It's prioritizing. It is not balance. It's prioritizing." And so list of everything that you and only you can do. That's you. So I wrote down my list. Sisters, are you watching? Are you paying attention? Write down your list. This is the only thing I have to do this, 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 and everything else is up to grab. So I decided I have to do husband. Ain't nobody gonna do husband with me. and I have to do children at my children's grade, right? After that, everything. I can move in other directions, like so. So the do part, this is what I have to do. Then the second D is delay. Do
Delay.
I have to do it now? And if you don't have to do it now, put it on your delay list. Okay? I don't, we wake up in the morning and we try to do everything all at the same time. By 9 o'clock in the morning, we want to have all our emails done, all our social media work done, our to-do list done. We have cooked, we have cleaned, we straightened out the kitchen, we straightened out everybody else in our lives, and now we're trying to do it all at the same time. And multitasking also doesn't always serve us well. When we're multitasking, we're really only paying bits of attention to the multiple things that we're doing instead of doing the one thing that we really need to focus attention on to do that. And so I'm halfway paying attention to this and I'm halfway paying attention to that. And
Yeah.
so it causes us to make mistakes. So you have to ask yourself, do I have to do it now? Can it be done this afternoon? Can it be done tomorrow? Can it be done to next week? Put it on your delay list. So I have a do list, right? That's my priority list, right?
Uh-huh.
Now I have a delay list. Do I have to do it now?
Do I have to do it now?
Third D is, do I have to do it? I don't want to do it. That means delegate. Repeat after me, delegate. Repeat after me, delegate, and delegate again. That means then you believe that you are not the only one who can get it right. You have to also believe that somebody else can do it just as good as you can, and they might be able to do it better. Hold on to your ego. Hold on to your ego. Hold on to your ego. To delegate means trust somebody to learn how to do it. And then you have to have the patience for them to make their mistakes. You made your mistakes when you started to do whatever you were doing.
Right.
You rose to the occasion, you fell down, you messed it up, and you have to have the patience to say, all right, baby, I know you didn't get it right this time, but look, this is how you work this deal, this is how you fix this is how you work it, and then loose them and let them go. And sure enough, they will either learn how to do it as good as you, or they'll learn how to do it better than you. So the first D is do. These are the things that I and only I must do.
Only I.
Some decisions only you can make, and those decisions you can't put in anybody else's hands. You have to do that. The second is, do I have to do it now? That's delay. The third is, do I really have to do it? Am I the one? I'm going to learn how to delegate. And then the fourth D is delete.
Delete.
That's the power of saying no. Is this really necessary? Is this meeting necessary? Is this program necessary? Is this conversation necessary? Is it necessary? And if the answer is no, then delete it. Because the truth of the matter is, take a deep breath, take a deep breath. The truth of the matter is, we cannot do everything, although we want to do everything.
Exactly.
You can do everything, but you can't do everything at the same time.
Wow.
Okay?
Yeah.
You want it all. Remember that commercial? That commercial said, I want it all, I want it all now. Well, you can't have it all now, but you can have it if you stretch it out. So I let our sisters do what the season demands.
Do what the season demands.
What the season.
Y'all hear that? She said, yes. Do what the season demands.
That's right.
Do what the season demands.
When children were younger, when they were, I couldn't travel all around the place and preach everywhere. I had to be focused on them. When they were teenagers, all right, I had to, you're going to teach Bible study. I'm not coming to choir rehearsal, lead prayer meeting. You know, the disciples' office is going to lead that because I made this in the house. And you know, when you're 16, you think you know everything and you can do everything at 16. So you got to be around and say, You have to do what the season demands. If you're in school, you're going to have to say no to something so that you can focus on your studies. If you're starting a new job, it's going to demand more of you to learn how to do it and learn the people and build a team and build a business. You're going to have to say no to some things. You're going to have to say no to some organizations and look, I got this thing on my plate here that's demanding the majority of my time. I'm going to be back, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to be back right now. So learning how to say the power of no without qualifying it.
Without
That's what we do
qualifying it.
sometimes. Yes, we do say, man. We say no. The reason why I can't do it. And the reason why I'm not going is because no is a complete sentence. No is no. You don't need any qualifiers. And so those are your 4 D's on how we prioritize, do what is necessary. Do I have to do it now? Delay. Do I have to do this? Delegate and then delete. Is this really necessary? The power of saying no.
Wow. The power of saying no. I got it. I got it. I got it. Well, I want to know if anybody on our live stream has any questions for you. So if you have any questions for Bishop, y'all put it up there because we're gonna continue this conversation with her. But Bishop, in this pandemic, my question to you, I'm gonna start the questions here is, have you struggled in any of these areas? Because I know you've been doing this for a while and you've been applying your 4D method, but have you struggled in any way in this pandemic?
Have I had problems doing it?
Yeah, have you had any struggles with applying any of these methods?
Oh, absolutely. And that's why, I believe we all have to have some self-awareness. You got to know yourself a little bit. You got to know yourself a lot. And knowing me, when there's a crisis, I go into action. You know what I mean? It's time to go. Let's get this done. Let's move. Let's organize. Let's get this straight. Let's administer. Let's blah, blah, blah. We need to put it in self-care. We need to have some care calls and some care cards going out to seniors. We got to start organizing the outreach ministry because we're going to have to feed people. People are going to be hungry. We're going to have to do this. We're going to have to do that. We're going to have to engage. I can power up when we're in a crisis because I know that's me. Everybody doesn't do that. Sometimes in a crisis, people tend to shrink. They close in internal, introverts. I just need to be still for a moment. Just let me think it through, and that's cool. That's all right. That's you. For me, that stuff has to go into action.
Okay.
And then I have to pull myself back and say, do I have to do this, or can I delegate this? Do I have to do this now? Or can this be delayed until appropriate time? And so that's why I say the journey there fits and starts. It's not one and done. You have to call yourself. Call yourself back. When we gained 5 pounds during quarantine, that was when we were in that comfort food phase. Well, since I'm here, I haven't had time to make mac and cheese. I'm gonna make my own mac and cheese. I haven't had time to bake a cake. I'm baking a cake. I haven't had time to make pies. I'm making peach pies. Because we're home, we were eating 24/7. As soon as we had breakfast, we had lunch on our mind. As soon as we had done lunch, we were looking for dinner. As soon as we done dinner, we were snacks. So we were like 24/7. And we gained that weight. And then one day, we walked into the bathroom and we got on the scale, and there was that voice, come back. Come back. Yes. Too far down the road. And so I had to tell myself that we're feeding and testing, free test, and we're feeding 5,000 each weekend during the week, and on Saturday we feed fellas do free testing at Paul College. And every Saturday I've been there. I was hot. I was lifting boxes and popping trunks and waving and encouraging people and encouraging our team. Come on, guys. Those who got muscles, and we were directing traffic. Go this way. Go this way. Go this way. The line is down, out the campus, down the street, beyond the highway. And you look at it, we're gonna be here for a long time. So we're dealing every weekend. And so finally, my body said, McKenzie, no. Okay? No, you need to stop. All right? You need to stop and delegate. And so that's what you have to call yourself that. Call one of the past. I said, Commander in Chief, you know what to do. You've been in every week. Go forward, do it. Delegate it. And not only did he do well, he did it as well as I, and he did it better than I. That's why I say you have to trust people and delegate stuff, because your body will tell you when you need to come back.
When you need to come back. Okay.
Come back to yourself. Your knee will hurt. Your toe will go. You get a headache. Your body starts to talk to you. Say, wait a minute. Whoa. What? Do you need to delay this event? Do you need to delete this activity? Do you need to go back to your priority list and revisit that list again? So it's never one and done. You have to come back to your list.
Okay.
Can I tell you the surprise I have for you?
Yeah.
Okay. The surprise I have for you and those who are watching and those who are fans of your podcast is that there is another D in this self-care process.
Okay. Go ahead.
So it's not just 4. There's 5.
There's 5.
And the fifth one is divine. The fifth one is divine.
Divine. Okay, I got it.
Taking care of me is one thing. Taking care of me is one thing. Looking after my needs is one thing. Deleting, delaying, and denying is one thing. But when I put myself into the hands of the divine,
woo! Come on, Bishop. See, the preacher done showed up.
That's enough. So how can we leave God out of a self-care plan? We can't leave God out of a self-care plan. So that takes me back to Elijah. You remember Elijah?
Yes.
God working miracle prophet.
Yes.
Hundreds with confidence.
Yes.
Just, slaying folks and all of that. And
yes.
And then, your God is God, and let him do this, and my God do all that. He was bad. Wasn't he bad? Bad.
Yes, he was.
After his victory over the prophet of Baal, he was a weary worker. He wore himself out on that mountain and just let somebody make one little comment, just a threat, and it sent him off. Just ticked him off. And that's what happens when we're bone weary, when we're exhausted, when we have depleted our human resources. All it takes is for a person to say one little thing.
Yeah.
And it sets us off. Only the one person who knows how to push that button. Everybody got a button.
Everybody got one.
Everybody got a button. All you do is push that button. Say that one word. And it's like, what you say? Excuse me? Huh? Or we like Elijah, we get scared. Wait a minute now. You were bad and bold and brave before all these prophets of Baal, and you gonna let one little girl send you running? And that's exactly what he did. He ran and he hid, and God came to see about him. What did the Lord say? What you doing here?
Wow. Yeah,
so
yeah.
Place we find you big, bold, and brave. What you doing here? All right. But look what God did. God didn't give the prophet a pep talk. Come on, Elijah. We know it was hard. you're tired, man, go back in there. You can do it. You can do it. He didn't say, you did a great job up there on the mountain. We were watching you and we saw you slay them and we were just waiting for the word. And we were sending fire down. Is he going to send the fire down now? Is he going to wait later? Is he going to do it in this moment? And then we heard the word, bam, and we were right there with you, Elijah. We sent the fire just as you said. Man, you were bad. You my prophet. I love you. You my prophet. Give him a salvation. No. What God told him was to go get yourself something to eat and go to sleep.
Yes. Yes.
What is that? Self-care.
Self-care.
He told him twice, not once. Go get yourself sleep. Go get yourself somewhere.
Twice.
Say self-care.
Self-care.
Go get something to eat. Yeah, self-care. Look at that. So we are in this pandemic, trying to be so strong for everybody. I'm talking to the pastors in the house. Come on, preacher, lady, preacher, man.
Come on.
Be strong, everybody. There's a pandemic, and we got tough days ahead. We got to be strong, and we got to do this, and we got to do this for the people. We got to do this for God. Do this, and go to sleep. Get yourself something to eat.
Wow.
It's difficult being strong 24/7. Ask me how I know. I know. I told you I can talk about these deeds because I live these deeds myself. Full disclosure.
Wow. Wow.
So you trying to be strong, everybody else, and it's all wearing you down. I know a preacher in Delaware who did her doctoral dissertation. It sounded something like this: pastoring you is killing me.
Wow. Wow.
That's
pastoring you is killing me.
Self-care. And that's what happens out of the equation.
When we leave God out of the equation.
Is divine.
Divine. Okay.
Leave God out of the equation. So what happens when we go rest? What happens when we go rest? We sit down, we take a deep breath. So the experts tell us when we are under stress, we shallow breathe. And we don't take in enough oxygen to bless our body. So we have to sit down and breathe. Take a deep breath. Deep breath. Inhale. They call it box breathing. You inhale 4 times, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it 4 times, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, and repeat 4 times.
Wow.
Breathe. Your body is craving oxygen. You take off your shoes. You get reacquainted with your pajamas. You lower your shoulders. Because when we're stressed, our shoulders are straight. You release, you do what? You relax your neck. You unfold your brow. You relax your forehead. Relax the muscles around your mouth. For me, I like to call it the physical manifestation of the scripture that admonishes us to lean not until our own understanding. I'm no longer leaning on how I see things, but I'm resting.
Wow.
So I can see things the way God sees them. I'm no longer leaning on my human proclivities to satisfy my hungers, but I'm resting.
Wow.
So I can taste and see that the Lord is really good. I'm resting my attitude, which gets out of whack. It does. Come on. This true confession time. Our attitude does get out of whack. I'm resting my thoughts, the ones that keep me glued to breaking news, and the thoughts that get me into trouble, the thoughts that make me go from a good day to a bad day. I'm resting my fears that are sponsoring my failures. I'm resting my understanding of culture, which keeps calling me away from the practice of my spiritual discipline. I'm resting from what I want. So I make room for what God wants of me. I'm resting.
Resting.
My personal desires. So I'm desires God has for me. I'm resting from what I want and from others, because the truth is sometimes people need a break from us. Come on, church, amen.
Yes. Yes. They are just as sick of you as you are of them.
And so we've been in this house for 110 days now.
Lord
And
Jesus.
so we need to rest. And that's
Rest.
the 50 in
Yes.
that self-care. We cannot leave God out of the equation, because there's a difference of me handling the needs with my hands and God handling my stuff with his hands. And so when I put me and myself and my needs and care into the hands of God, it becomes a different process. It is not just something that I'm doing. I'm being still, I'm being quiet, I am resting, so
Yes.
that God can reveal to me things that I need to do, where I need to go, what I need to say, instead of me running around like a chicken with my head cut off. Because there's a pandemic, there's a pandemic, there's a pandemic. Yeah, we know there is. There is. But when we rest in the
When
Lord,
we rest.
then we're able to make this journey a whole lot better. A whole
Bishop.
lot better.
Bishop, I want you to take some questions. You got time for a few questions? You got time for a few questions? We want to ask you some questions.
Yes, I'll be happy to.
Okay. Y'all put your questions on the
Yes.
screen. Somebody says, who is this? Somebody says, share tips for delegating to the appropriate skill set. How do you recover when the person makes a mistake? Okay. So the person wants to know, can you share tips for delegating to the appropriate skill set? How do you recover when the person that you delegated to, I assume, makes a mistake?
Well, hopefully you will, before you delegate something to someone, that you would have, let's say, vetted them. So vet means that you have gotten to know them, depending on whether you're talking about work or personal family life, that you would have spent enough time to get to know their gifts and their skills, that you have seen their skills in action, that there's a little experience under their belt for what
Okay.
you're going to hand to them. So you're not going to hand something that's precious, put it in the hands of a rookie. You understand what I'm saying? But
Okay.
somebody who's already demonstrated that they are able to do it. So,
Okay.
if you have someone that's given them a small project, let's say it's something small to do,
Exactly.
and they're able to do it and they deliver it on time, the outcomes were good, then that may mean that they are ready for a larger task. But if you gave them a small assignment and they weren't able to do it, they didn't see it was valuable, they treated it poorly, then you don't give them another assignment. They say,
Okay.
thank you very much, and you move on to the next person.
Thank you very much.
Who they are somewhere along the line.
Okay.
And they know themselves, believe them the first time. Don't go back and try it again. Now, there's some people, this is why I say you can't leave God out of the equation.
Okay.
There's some people who deserve a chance, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Paul, John, glad that he got a second chance. Some people deserve a second chance. But you got to watch out for those who you say, thank you. I appreciate what you did. God bless you. And then you move on.
Okay.
Now, if you gave somebody, delegated, and it cost you money, cost the company money, cost the church money, cost you your standing position in the business or whatever the process is, then depending upon your relationship with the person, you may want to tell them, look, we tried this out and it didn't work. And these
Okay.
are the reasons why it didn't work. And I want you to know, this kind of activity, you don't wait for it to do. You have to be a self-starter. You have to be assertive. You have to be more communicating with the people who are else on the team. Show them where they need to improve. All right?
Okay.
Show them where they need to, and then wait on their learning to see whether you want to come back and try it again.
Okay. So it might be incumbent upon you maybe to do some training or something like that to help them improve if you know that this is somebody that you're supposed to be giving a second chance to. You think so, Bishop?
Yes. Suggest that. You suggest a book, you suggest a conference, you suggest a workshops or something that they can go to up their skill, level. That's why I said it takes patience to delegate, because some people will get it and they get it right. Some people will get it and they won't get it right away. And then you have some people who will get it and use it against you. Those are the ones. You don't know what I'm talking about.
Okay. Okay.
We'll use the messing it.
So it requires patience. I heard you. You said Bishop. You said it requires patience to delegate, and I think that's so important that we have patience with people as we're delegating with them, delegating to them. But the point is, we still need to delegate. We still need to delegate. Let me get some more questions. I want some of you all to put some questions up on the screen. I want to hear from my podcast. I want to hear from my podcast audience. I want to hear from you on Facebook, on YouTube, wherever you're watching this broadcast. I want you to type in your questions and we're going to put them on the screen. I want to acknowledge you for being out there tonight. And I want Bishop to hear from you on tonight. So let's see here. There's another question. What is the response to someone when you say no and they ask why? How do we respond in a nice way when asked why? You see the question?
I'm trying to read.
Okay. What is the response to someone when you say no and they ask you why? When you say no and then they ask you why?
I got it. You may or may not, I'll say your silence is an answer in itself.
Type that in the screen. Everybody type that. Sometimes your silence is an answer in itself.
Just look at them. Now, if you feel like you want to do that, but sometimes we got to say no is no is no. How come you can't come to the party? I'm sorry, I can't. Well, why? We say the explanation will make it any better.
Wow.
I have my reasons. But no is no. No is no. And I'm not saying to say no, it's going to be easy. I know one of our friends, her preacher friends, and so many things were happening in her personal life and in the lives of others that she loved and cared for greatly. And one person said, well, why didn't you come to my rescue? And she said, I didn't have the heart. I had to say no, because if I went, I would have been in deeper trouble than she is right now. That's why I say sometimes if you don't show up for yourself, you won't be able to show up for God. And if you don't learn how to show up for yourself sometimes, all right?
You got to learn how to show up for yourself. Wow. You got to learn how to show up for yourself. Mm-hmm. You hear what she said? Sometimes you got to show up for yourself, and you can't show up for others if you haven't shown up for yourself, right? You can't show up for others if
That's
you haven't
correct.
shown up for
So
yourself.
that's like serving empty. And one of the dangerous things for us to do is to serve on empty. It's hard to preach on empty, pray on empty, serve God's people on empty. It's really, really hard when everything is drained from you. That's what happened with Elijah. I mean, he just gave his all until the point where he thought he was the only one who could serve, you know. And God came around and said, "Look, I got 7,000 other people who haven't bowed their knee to Baal. You're not the only one." So as hard as we work, and we do work hard, we try to work smarter, we try to work these 5 B's together. Father said, "Help complete. Look, all they're gonna say when you break down is, isn't that a shame?"
Yeah. Isn't that sad?
So we don't want to be in that. We don't want to get in that same position.
Yeah. I
Okay?
hear you, Bishop.
There is no merit badge for busyness.
Yeah. Well, Bishop,
You know,
I'm
there is no
telling
merit
you,
badge for that.
we don't get no merit badge for it. And you're right. At the end of the day, all they're going to, you said this on the podcast when you did it. You was like, I remember you said, someone said to you, I think you said it was Bishop Bryant that said to you, if you kill yourself, they gonna be like, did you hear what happened to Vashti? And you're right. At the end of the day, we got to show up for ourselves, and we can't show up for others. You hear that? Put that in the comments. You cannot show up for others if you're not willing to show up for yourself. Bishop, thank you so much. I really, really
Right.
appreciate you coming on and doing this talk back with us, letting us talk with you, letting us sit at your feet, letting us ask you questions. Because as I said earlier, you are just an amazing woman of God. And I see you got on your Sell Amazing shirt, your Sell Amazing t-shirt. I'm gonna have to get me a Sell Amazing t-shirt. So what are you doing with Selah right now? What are you doing? I know we're in the pandemic and you had to pivot. What are we doing with Selah now?
Well, we can't meet person to person because we want everybody to be safe and healthy. So Selah now has a home edition. It's called Selah the Home Edition, and we're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're increasing our platform. We come on the second and fourth Mondays of every month. Our next Selah is going to be July the 27th, Monday at 7 p.m. Central. And our guest is going to be Dr. Claudette Copeland and Janai Martin Walker. Janai
Okay.
has a fabulous story. She's a WNBA alumni. She played professional ball, and now she's not playing ball. She's playing finance. So she's a financial counselor who's going to help us get our money straight. And you know, Dr. Claudette, just we're going to sit down with our Bible and our tissues, and we're going to laugh and we cry. We're going to have a great time together. We also want to invite women who love the Lord, trying to love the Lord, working on loving God, love themselves, working on loving themselves, trying to love themselves, and want to support other women, resource other women, and be supported and resource themselves. I tell people, everybody needs encouragement, and Selah is about that. And so we invite women to be a part of our Selah online group where we chat every day. And now we have a piece for you, Dr. Toni.
Yes.
We are walking. We are walking between now and Labor Day to a cute 100 miles now and Labor Day. So
okay, well, I'm going to join you on that. Well, I'm going to join you on the walk.
And then click on Salem 100 and click on and then walk with us. We asked all the sailor ladies to come together. We were talking, and I'm thinking that they wanted a summer read. So I had a whole list of books. Do you want to read this book this summer? Do you want to read this book this summer? You want to read this book this summer? They said, no, we want to walk. I said, okay. So
good.
And so if you go to the Sailor Online page, you'll be able to find that clip. Come on into the group. Come on and walk with us. We chat, we talk, we share leadership tips like we're sharing with you right now. And then come see us on July the 27th on Monday. Got to get you in the room, Toni, Dr. Toni, one night. We need you in the room. So,
all right, I'm coming.
We need to have you to come on in and chat. So we have
I'll be happy to come.
This Sailor Amazing. It's 2 words, Sailor Amazing. And so I say Sailor Amazing because we are amazing. Because we are.
Bishop, you are just amazing. Put her website up on the screen again. Well, I want you to be able to follow Bishop. So go to her website, bishopvashtimckenzie.com, so you can find out about all the amazing work that she is continuing to do, even in this pandemic. I preached a message early in the pandemic, Bishop, out of Jeremiah 29. And I told our people that even in this pandemic, God requires us to still to be productive and produce. And I appreciate that even in this pandemic, you're still producing, you're still ministering, you're still being the bishop, you're still empowering women. And I appreciate it. And I can't wait to get in the Sailor Room and enjoy what God is doing there. Listen, thank you all again for joining in with us. I'm going to release you to get back to your Friday night. But thank you for spending this hour with me and Bishop. I hope it's been a fun evening for you. I hope that you learned something. Go back to the Harmonize Your Life podcast. Download Bishop's episode there. There's so many other episodes that are there. So many Sailor amazing women that we have brought to you. Get ready for season 2 of the podcast, which will be dropping on Monday, August 3rd. Season 2 is on its way. We just stopped in the month of July to take a break and retool and get some new things on board. And we thought we'd just do a talk back tonight and just kind of, keep the conversation going. Follow me go to my website, drtonialvarado.com. Please go to my website, find out all about all the things that we're doing with self-care. The self-care network is there. You can join the Harmonize Your Life Women's Self-Care Network. It is available for you there on my website. Learn about all the other things that we are doing. If you want the self-care t-shirt and all the other things we have there, our fitness apparel is there, and you can get all that stuff on my website. Thank you again, Bishop. Thank you for spending your Friday evening with the Harmonize Your Life community. And I appreciate what God is doing, and I look forward to being a part of the next Sailor Home Edition. Thank you.
Yes, come on in the room, and thank you for having me. Love Dr. Toni, love the ministry, love what you're doing. It is so needed in this season. God has uniquely positioned you to help us.
Thank you, Bishop. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in with us tonight. I'm going to release you to get back to your Friday night. Thank you for joining Dr. Toni Alvarado and the talkback, the podcast talkback with Bishop Vashti McKenzie, the 4D method of self-care. And remember to harmonize your life and take care of yourself. Show up for yourself so that you can show up for somebody else. Bishop.